In today's lecture, we will be discussing about goals of psychology. There are mainly four goals of psychology. To list them out, first is describing behavior, second is explaining behavior, third, predicting behavior, fourth, changing behavior. Now, to begin with the first goal, that is describing, it basically implies to identify or classify the behavior and the mental processes as accurately as possible. So, certain questions that might come to our mind would be how do individuals think, or what could be the factors responsible to stimulate one's behavior, or how do individuals react to a specific situation. To know these answers, researchers record these particular behavior in a socio-economic, cultural, or geographical space. And for this same purpose, researchers use various psychological tools which are standardized in nature. Some of the examples of these tests could be survey method, it could be experiments, or it could be through observations. Moving on to the next goal of psychology, which helps us understand why is it happening. Now this is the second major goal and it helps us to understand the causes of the observed responses by looking into the facts in a very meaningful way. So researchers or psychologists would be interested to understand the reason behind why an individual is behaving the way that he or she is behaving. Now, if a particular behavior is observed only in one individual, it cannot be generalized to the entire population. Whereas, if it is observed in most of the people, then we can generalize it to the entire population. An example could be accidents of bike riders are more fatal due to head injury, thereby wearing helmet should be made compulsory for bike riders. The third major goal of psychology is to predict what will happen next, which basically implies to predict how, in a given condition or a set of conditions, an individual would behave or what would be the mental process of a given individual. Now, prediction always involves knowledge about the possible outcomes of a given behavior. A very simple example is listed here so that we are able to relate to the concept of prediction. If someone drinks alcohol, it will slow down his reactions and that will increase possibility of an accident. So driving after consuming alcohol should be strictly avoided. So it is a very basic simple example which will help us understand the concept of prediction there. The fourth goal of psychology is to control, which is to look into how we could shape a behavior in a particular direction, which can be accomplished when the researcher uses various principles of psychology to bring successful changes in a behavior if that behavior is unwanted or abnormal in nature. Now, as psychologists, there could be different various therapeutic techniques that could shape or modify a given human behavior. A simple example could be if some students remain absent in school or do not study, then school psychologists can help them to find out the causes and modify this behavior. For this purpose, they may organize some intervention programs in school or school counselors can study psychological problems of students and they can help them with proper guidance and counseling. So, which basically means to imply that changing behavior would be in terms of understanding what can I do to get them to stop doing that, which basically would also bring down to the point of shaping the behavior in a desired or a particular direction. Thank you so much for listening to this lecture.